66, he said it. 66 years old. A cat his age who's worked for a cause, and not just that one, but many other causes his whole life. What a great cat, man. What an awesome thing. What a great thing to have on the Butch Radio Roadshow. And we're not done. We've got another advocate of pot, and a good friend of mine, man. And one of the very first interviews I ever did. I'll explain that in a second. We're going to come back with that very cool interview right after this break.
Hi, this is Keith Straub. I'm a 66-year-old pot smoker who first started smoking marijuana when I was a freshman at Georgetown Law School in 1965, and I've been a regular smoker ever since. I'm a listener to the Bush Lord Radio Roadshow, and I would urge all of you to do the same.
I smoke 2 joints in the morning. I smoke 2 joints at night. I smoke 2 joints in the afternoon. It makes me feel alright. I smoke 2 joints in time of peace and 2 in time of war.
Why wait for your tattoo when you want it now? You could take your design to a clean, sterile facility today. Wildside Tattoo and Piercing on Fairmont Avenue in Lakewood is ready to take your design today. Or pick from over 100,000 designs. So stop by Wildside Tattoos on Fairmont Avenue in Lakewood and see designers Jerry or the returning Shane Anderson. Other artists and piercers are available. Walk-ins welcome, or for appointment, call 716-499-0464. Visit us online at wildsideny.com. Open Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Saturdays, 1 p.m. to 11 p.m. Tell them Butch sent you. Have Jerry show you the badass ink they're doing for me. Wildside Tattoos and Piercing.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Boombox carrying roller skater.
Mr. Boombox carrying roller skater.
Shunning the conveniences of modern inline skates, you prove that real men do it on 8 pink polypropylene wheels.
A pretty pink wheels.
The crouched one-leg extension, the squat and spin, every move as tight as your shorts.
A giddy-up cowboy.
Yes, your station is tuned to all disco all the time. And bravely, so is your haircut.
Very bossy.
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, Mr. Boombox carrying roller skater, and know that we fully support real artistic expression. But enough about that. Let's roller skate.
Mr. Boombox carrying roller skate.
Man, I love those commercials, man. And now they're so in the culture, they're so in my head, that I can't see an idiot doing something stupid without actually hearing that voice in my head, you know, real man of genius. Because it's like, it does. It comes right to my head. Like the other day, I'm driving over here to the studio. Remember that? We saw that guy.
That guy with the tiny little lawn?
Yeah, with the little yard, right? And it was like he's got a 10-foot by 10-foot patch of grass out there, and he's got one of those grass seed spreaders, you know, where you put the strap around your neck and you crank the crank and it flings the grass seed. He's got one of those things on in this 10 by 10 patch of dirt. And I'm thinking, that is like overkill, right? I mean, come on, you could have tossed a handful of seeds out there, for crying out loud. All I could think of was one of those commercials, you know, it'd be like, Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Strap-on Grass Seed Spreader Guy.
Mr. Strap-on Grass Seed Spreader Guy.
You won't let the size of your lawn keep you from the joy of using all things lawn care.
Gonna mow it with my rider.
Sure, you could have tossed a couple of handfuls of seeds out there in the lawn, but not if there's a tool that'll do it for you.
Wanna use my tool.
Oh, your neighbors are looking at you like you're crazy, and this is only step 1. Wait till step 2, fertilization.
I've gotta spread the dookie.
So ignore those looks from your neighbors and smile at the thought that you've given a whole new meaning to the word strap-on.
Strap it on and spread it.
So crack open an ice cold Bud Light, old Sultan of the Sea, and know that there's only 3 months of growing season left.
Mr. Strap-on Grass Seed Spreader Guy.
Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. I love saying that. That is our newest sponsor, Anheuser-Busch Budweiser. I love it because I am a Bud man. As a matter of fact, I actually have a question because I've been technically soaking in Budweiser for like 20 years. Does that make me Beechwood aged? I think it does. I'm clean. I'm crisp. I'm refreshing. That's me. That's the show. Clean, crisp, refreshing. Butch Lloyd Radio Roadshow. 1031.
Tired of traveling, you wanna settle down. I guess I can't revoke us all the time. Get out of the door, light and look all around. Sometimes the light's all shining on me. Other times I can barely see. Maybe it occurs to me. What a long, strange trip it's been. Trucking, I'm going home. Whoa, whoa, baby, that's where I belong.
Oh, understatement of the year. What a long, strange trip it's been. Butch Lloyd Radio Roadshow. From its inception 10 years ago till now, it has been a long, strange trip. But we are on the air, Joe Garner.
Yes, we are.
We are on the air. And, you know, this is funny because the original first episode on the very first show I ever did with the Butch Lloyd Radio Roadshow nearly 10 years ago was with my friend Tommy Chong. And it was as I was talking with Keith Straub, we got into talking about Tommy, and then I told him, you know, I talked to him right after that. We were talking about his prison time and then how he had that grace period. What do you call it there? When you're on paper, parole. All my Warren Jamestown folks know about that little paper, little parole. And he was on that for a stretch, so he really couldn't be vocal. And I was actually, I think, the first person to ever get him to say something while still on paper. That's coming up right here. You're going to love this. Tommy was really into the conspiracy theories when we got off in this interview. It was really cool because he was trying to say the things without coming out and saying the things that he went on to then speak about very publicly, as Keith made mention to, since he's gotten off the paper.
Yeah, and this is actually some audio that you've been holding back on for a long time to air because we were waiting for the right situation to come up. That, you know, the interview that you did with Tommy in his living room of all places,
right? Sitting, you know, in Tommy's
would
living
be
room,
pertinent to the show. And finally, after months now being on the air, we found the show that the listeners need to check this out.
Because this goes hand in hand with what we were talking about with Keith Straub and about how Tommy kind of got the railroad. And he kind of actually comes out.
Just like Mark Emery.
Just like Mark Emery. And prosecuted for the very same reasons, getting a high-profile bust and somebody who could actually be good. Well, Tommy, actually, that's the thing he said, too, was never really the hardcore advocate until after they popped him. And he came out and was like, yeah, here you go. And that's what he says, is he didn't do anything until he got off. But here, you'll hear him allude to that very thing right here on the Butch Lloyd Radio Roadshow. Tommy Chong. Here he is in his living room. We wasted no time jumping into conspiracy theory conversations. Check this out, as me and Tommy start swapping theories.
The minute you go against them, they'll destroy you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what the Bush and those guys are doing. You know, they're destroying themselves.
Uh-huh.
You can see Ashcroft himself, you know. Where, how come he disappeared?
Right.
Where is he, you know? The effect of what he did
and what they've done
so strong. It's working.
That's what I believe. I say, you know, we can't do anything about this on a reactionary basis right now.
No,
make anything
and we're not
happen.
supposed to.
Right. But inside, I just know that they know what they're done. They know what they've done. They know what they're doing. They know that war in Iraq was all about oil. They know nobody. They know they're not fooling anybody at this point. You know, and now they're trying to cover their asses and work all kinds of things.
The war too was the rebuilding money they would get.
Right, what they would get for Halliburton to go back and rebuild that. Yeah. And they say, well, Cheney's not president of Halliburton anymore. Yeah, only temporary till he's out of the, you know, and if anybody buys that, who's the idiot, right?
Oh, he quit. That makes a difference.
Right. He's got nothing to do with it anymore.
Well, look at the Bushes and the Saudis.
Yeah.
You know, hugging and dancing.
Right.
And where's bin Laden from?
And you know, that's what I always said was so funny. He was a CIA operative working for the CIA and helped install the Taliban as a government. And nobody here questioned that we put that government in power in Afghanistan, and then went back and turned around and said, oh, they're the enemy, they're the evil, because they needed an enemy and they needed evil. And they used their own operatives who set it all up. And you're going to tell me now that you don't know how to get in touch with him? He worked for you for 10 years, you know? You ain't got to sell him up, bro.
They can't catch him. He escaped.
Right. And he's 60-something years old with a bad kidney, need a dialysis.
And they got all the spy stuff and everything else around there. They could have taken him out anytime they wanted to.
Anytime they wanted to. They need that. They need an enemy for the people. You know.
And as you can imagine, we went on and on and on with this thing, but we did come around to a solution. Ultimately, Tommy had the answer. He knew exactly what we should do. Check it out.
But the way we win is by doing nothing. You don't have to do anything.
Because this going to come around, you know they do it.
Of course, there's a biblical saying again. You know, you let go, let God. You know, you can't make the world turn any faster,
right.
No matter what you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't stop that earthquake from happening. You can't even predict a fucking earthquake.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Let alone do anything about it.
Yeah. To do anything about it, you can't. All you can do is kick back and just watch. And be a witness.
Now, that doesn't sound like that's going to be very effective. But hey, that's not the whole plan. There's more to it. And this is it.
I have a plan. I don't want to unveil it until I'm off probation.
Right.
But, it's going to deal with a serious look at legalization. You know?
Cool.
Of course, Tommy's making reference to his recent legal troubles. He actually spent some time in jail. Not really so much a jail as, well, Tommy will explain right here.
They've got prisons being built right now to take care of people like us.
I'm always flattered when Tommy refers to me as one of his peers, but how come it always has to do with a prison reference? It wasn't a prison reference, ass munch.
Internment camps. That's what I was in. I was in an internment camp. I think there was maybe 2, 3 real criminals in that camp. All the rest you could classify them as political prisoners, you know.
Right.
In as much as they were, you know, pot-related drugs, white-collar crimes.
Wow, those internment camps sound like dangerous places. I'm sure shaking in his boots half the time. But, of course, Tommy would make friends. Rather quickly, I think. Check it out.
He was my protector, you know.
Right.
He's a funny guy. We met him. It was a funny way we met. You know. He was a big old biker, you know, with tattoos. He was like the head of the Aryan guys, you know. And he's, you know, non-violent guy. His crime was transporting illegals from the border, you know, into, you know, and that was his crime, and you know, weed once in a while. So he got sentenced to jail. Then they sent him over to camp. Then he ends up, you know, next to me, my cubicle, and he's a big fan, you know. And so I was practicing my tango walk, you know, when I was in the yard. And I just walked around, you know, like a tango dancer. And Steve goes, "Hey, Chong, I'll dance with you." So I walked over to him and I took him in my arms, and he goes, "Ah, what are you doing?"
He said, "What are you doing?"
And he got all in his
Guys
blood.
want something to drink? Want some water or some juice?
I would like some.
I'll have a juice.
I bought you wine.
Yeah, juice would be great. Thanks.
So Steve just got out of jail, huh?
I'll drink wine
He was
with
in jail for
Shelby.
3 months.
Wow.
Well, anyway, he got out. He goes back home. He was supposed to. The reason he did his time is so he wouldn't have to do his probation. He gets out. And they got him on 6 months probation. So what the fuck is this? So he told the guy, no.
Bonus.
So he goes to the Imperial Valley where his daughter is, and he's living there. And marshals come and grab him, take him back, put him in front of the judge. And then the judge is going to sentence him to his 6 months probation. And Steve goes, "Okay, how much time do I have to do to get off this?
To get off the
probation?"
thing.
3 months. I'll take the 3 months.
That's what I'm saying. Get off the paper.
Yep.
He did the 3 months. He's out. He's off probation.
Yes.
So he's coming here, you know, because we had a plan, and I was going to have him come here and take acting classes, you know, become an actor and get him in roles, you know, start working.
Sure.
out.
Get him some rolls.
Big thug rolls.
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
It'd be perfect.
Perfect for it.
Right.
Perfect. And he's good. He's
And he knows, yeah, he knows he's already been a thug, right?
Yeah,
That's
he's not
great.
an actor.
oh, he's good. He's really good. He's got the best stories.
Oh, man, I've got stories. That made me a little jealous. You know, all Steve had to do was protect Tommy's ass for 6 months, and he's getting couch time at Tommy's house.